really like the song you write, maybe for about a day or two, and then just think
It's just boring.
so you can spend a week or two, maybe even a month or longer trying to make the song interesting, which tends to make it
Stale and boring.
so you try and make it better by making it more complicated, and this makes the song not very good. But the song was already good. It just needed to be refined. Now, over the last 20 plus years of writing songs and teaching music, I've realised that making songs interesting is actually really simple. Let me show you how to take your song to the next level. Step 1. I had this student a few years ago. Now, Dan wanted to be a songwriter, and he already had the skills that he needed. In one of our first sessions together, we went through his song ideas, and he chose an idea that he wanted to turn into a song. And he came up with something that he liked. And then we worked on the Vomit draft, just like we discussed in the last video. And it was turning into a very good song, especially to say this was someone's first ever song. And I was about to discover what Dan's problem was.
I am going to be going through all of the steps with an example song throughout the video as well, so I can actually show you these steps in action as well. And just quickly, I want to mention that I'm working really hard at the moment on putting together a songwriting workshop that's going to take you through the process of writing a song from start to finish, which is going to be great for beginners, people new to writing songs, but also really useful to people who already write songs. I promise you it's going to be really good. So if you want to get access to that as soon as it's available, there's a link in the description box below.
And the song was in a good place, and now Dan had some homework to do, and this is step number 1. Fixing the problems. If you like what you have after doing your first draft, your Vomit draft, and you think that the song has potential, that means that the essence of the song, the thing that is making it good, is already there. The Vomit draft was a process of going with the flow, exploring ideas, not overthinking, and letting the song take shape in an almost natural way. So there will be things that need to be worked on and fixed. There might be structural issues. The lyrics might be in the wrong order. The song might need another section. Melody issues, changes to chords or chord progression. Lyrics that you knew you would need to come back to. So you get what I mean. This first step is to fix the obvious problem. But whatever needs fixing should be in service of what you have. Here is where Dan's problem became clear. I came back for our next session. Dan hadn't done his homework properly. He didn't fix anything that we discussed. Instead, what he did was change everything, and everything that made his song good was completely gone. And this all ties in with the second step, but I want to give you an example of how to do this first step first.
Okay, so the song that I'm working on for this video is about an old friendship that I used to have. It ended a long time ago, and I was quite bitter about it for quite a long time, but this song it kind of like expresses how I felt about it and about, you know, gaining some form of closure, that kind of thing. Now, I wrote this song during my 41 Songs in 41 Day challenge. It was done really quickly. It was basically a Vomit draft. The thing that I think I wanted to look at first is the lyrics. What I've really been doing is just tightening up the lyrics. So, for example,
You didn't know, no, you didn't know that we were thick as thieves.
that makes it sound like I thought that this was a friendship, but they didn't. So I've changed it to, did you know? Of course you should have known that we were thick as thieves. There's not really much difference. It's just tightening things up, and that's it. That's the thing that I'm doing in this stage, is just fixing things, as in tightening them up. Fixing a few things with the chord progression. There's not too much I want to change it, but there's a few things that I just want to just add a little bit more to it. And the main part is the intro. And at the moment, it is just this C chord shape. It's played with a cap at the 4th fret, so it's actually an E major chord. But this, it just feels like this could just have a bit of movement to it. I think I might just having it stay on this C shape, and then go to the sus4, then to the sus2. And then it'll lead us into the verse. Okay, so with these fixes done, these problem areas addressed, it's time to take this song to the next level.
Step 2. Make it interesting. This is where Dan went wrong. He tried to make his song interesting by changing everything and making it more complicated. And in doing so, he lost everything that was making the song good to start with. So what do I mean by making the song more interesting? When I was younger, a mate of mine, Steve, had a bunch of songs that he wanted to get recorded. Now, I'd heard him play them live loads of times, and they were good songs. But when Steve finished his EP and he sent me a copy of it, I remember listening to it and thinking, it feels like they're dragging on. And then I looked at the track lengths, and every song was under 2 minutes long. Songs that length should not feel long. And it's because the songs didn't progress. They were boring, to be honest. In essence, you want to tell the story of your song. and make the song progress in a way that makes a listener invested and want to keep listening. And this is where my mate Steve went wrong. He didn't spend time making the songs interesting, and he turned a bunch of good songs into a bunch of boring recordings. And this doesn't need to be complicated, which is where Dan went wrong. He went so far into trying to make things complicated and complex that he took a potentially good song and changed it into a mess. And you can do this as simply as your technical abilities will allow. You could just think about dynamics. I mean, should the chorus be louder or quieter, hit harder or softer? Are there specific parts or lyrics and phrases that need to be emphasized? And then how can you give emphasis to these? Does the rhythm need to be played differently in verse 1 to verse 2? Is there one particular chorus that needs to be made the most climactic? But my simple approach is to try and make every section, especially repeated sections like verses and choruses, be subtly different to each other. I mean, they are repeated, but they don't repeat exactly. And this makes the song progress and it helps it move along. If you do this, even at a basic level, it will improve your songs and make them more interesting straight away. But your song will really come alive if you do this with the goal of making the arrangement convey the feelings of the song as it develops. And then in the next step, it's going to be like the cherry on top. But first, let me give you an example.
I've been listening to the demo of this song quite a bit, and I've been thinking about, what I want this arrangement to sound like. And I'm thinking I definitely want this to be an acoustic arrangement. So I'm thinking that in the first verse, I want to, instead of it being like a strummed thing like it has been from the start, more of a finger picking thing. So I was just thinking about having this little melody underneath where it's like on the first chord, it's got the open E. The second chord, it's got the third fret of the E. Which I know it's got a capo, so it's not an E, I know. And then the same thing happens on the C chord shape, that open string, and the last chord shape, back to that one. But this time also, because I really like using this G11 kind of a thing, that is kind of a thing in the chord progression, so I want to highlight that. So it's a really simple picking pattern, but I'm thinking of having it go. I was also thinking then in the second verse, because this is about that nice feeling kind of being tainted a little bit and like pushing that feeling to the back, and I think in a way I could represent that is playing maybe the same picking pattern or maybe slightly different, but played on those wide guitars now, hard left and right, but then having the central guitar, the main thing, feel a little bit more rhythmical, like as it's been written. So like, it's kind of like the song has progressed, but I'm gonna have that same idea of a finger-picked thing, something that's kind of referenced throughout, like it's a feeling that's changed throughout.
Hopefully you can see that I'm trying to tell the story of the song and think about how I want it to come together. And things will change as you go through this process, and this is the job for step number 3. The song is at a stage now where we want to spend time refining these details and making subtle improvements to really polish up the song. And I like to think of this step as being trying to make 1% improvements. These small improvements are going to add up, and it's this care and attention to the details that will highlight the nuances of what the song is saying. But you can find yourself constantly trying to improve things until they are perfect, but they will never be perfect. So my rule of thumb is to make small changes, 1% improvements, and when it feels like these changes you're making aren't actually making the song better anymore, they're just making it different, then it's time to probably draw a line under it and say it's done.
I've just had an idea for the chorus section. I think the idea works in a narrative way. Just wanna say that I miss the good times, I miss them so much, and it hangs on this F chord and then into here so close, back to the C. And I was thinking that could be a good place to actually do a minor 4 chord. I think it fits with the narrative, so we'd have just wanna say that I miss the good times, I miss them so much, we were so close, now you moved on. The final chorus is the one where it's not you've moved on, it's now me moved on. So I was thinking if I can just change that to now be a major chord, which is the original idea, then that will add this kind of transformation, like that it's not sad anymore.
So hopefully you see that this is a subtle idea, and I think it could work really well in my song. It's a small change, maybe a little bit more than 1%, but it's still a change that has a reason for being there. It's to help the feel and the narrative of the song. I've not thrown it in there because saying I'm using a minor 4 chord sounds fancy. Right, now there's a really important thing that you need to realise to get better at songwriting, but before I forget, I'm currently putting together a songwriting workshop that's going to take you through the process of writing a song from start to finish, and it's going to be perfect for people of all levels to give you a process that you can follow to always be able to write a song. So if you're interested, I've left an email sign up form in the description box below. Back to the important thing that you need to realise to get better at songwriting, and that is that songwriting is a craft, and you're going to get better at the craft the more you write. And the best way to commit to this is to write every day. But I know what you're thinking. Who the hell has time to write songs every day? Well, I figured this out in this video, so check it out.